Hi, I'm Vikki Locke with C2 Communications, and this is DF Talks. For over 50 years, Downing-Frye Realty has set the standard for excellence and professionalism in Naples, Marco Island, Bonita Springs, and Estero real estate markets. And joining us today is Jerry Murphy. Hey, Jerry.
Hey, good morning, Vikki. How are you?
Great. Jerry has a wealth of experience in residential real estate and commercial banking and can address any question we have. He's a great mentor to newbies, agents that are thinking about getting into Downing-Frye's family. Well, let's start with something I read recently about this intense market that we're in right now in Southwest Florida. Is there any worry about a possible housing bubble?
Well, everybody talks about a housing bubble when things seem to be escalating in price overnight. But the real issue right now is the lack of inventory, which everybody talks about. In fact, there was a comment in the paper today from a real estate person that said this is probably the first time where there's more realtors than there are listed properties, which is really something to talk about. But I really wanted to focus, if I could, just on our Florida market, and especially where we are here in Southwest Florida, because it's still one of the most desirable spots for people to come to. Our pressure on inventory is exacerbated by two things. One, the people that are already here don't want to move from here, but they might want to change their lifestyle by scaling down from a single family home, which they had, or a condo and want to move up. So consequently, unlike other states where a lot of people are trying to move out of and get to a place like Florida, that's not our case. And one of the reasons why I believe it's proven is Realtor.com comes out with statistics every month that talks about views of properties in our marketplace. And the one for February just came out and showed that the total viewing counties in the state, the number one county was Lee County at 47%. And they're people that are already here. They're not people that are coming from New Jersey or New York or someplace else. So that exacerbates our pressure on inventory. And a seller will say, yeah, I want to move, but I'm not going to sell until I get something that I want. And it's not going to Georgia or whatever. The other point is the views from in our state, the metros, the biggest views are from Cape Coral and Fort Myers, which includes the Bonita Estero market. Those views are 48%. So once again, the pressure is on because those people are already here. Tourism is down to a degree and so on, but that's not impacting the housing market because the people that are selling and buying, a good majority are already here, which is unusual for states throughout the United States.
And people probably, especially buyers, are not only stressed about prices because they're unbelievably high, but also you had mentioned briefly about things like lumber. Those prices are just escalating.
Yeah, I spent 10 years with a major developer, and the builder's contract is all about the builder. So you sign a contract to have them build you a home. We're starting to see this now, whereby they're canceling the contract because the house isn't going to be built for another 9 months, 12 months, whatever the case is. And they now realize because of price escalations for lumber, materials, labor, the whole bit, that they're not going to be able to deliver the house. So now those people are not going to have a contract for a house. So they're going to look for a resale if they want to stay here, which is once again going to exacerbate the demand for our resale properties. So
but you said a contract. Let me just stop you there. Does that mean the contract isn't binding? If I sign a contract with a company, a contractor, that's not binding?
Well, the larger contractors, their contract is so pro-developer that it'll say that they have a right to cancel at a certain time, not keep your deposit money, give it back to you.
Okay.
But that's not the real issue. The real issue is I want a house. But the builder's not going to be able to provide that house. So yes, they can cancel. The other thing is normally there's a caveat in there about the builder can always extend the closing date forever in many cases. So my suggestion is if you're an agent and you're working with a client or you're working by yourself, and I don't suggest you do that. Make sure you take an agent if you go to a new home developer because they're experienced. You want to make sure what those clauses are. Not that the builder's going to change them, because he's not, but you need to know what you're truly getting into and what it might be 6 months from now when you're standing in a vacant lot and it's not going to be a home for you to be built there.
Wow. So tell me then, is Bonita Springs and Estero, is that a good market to look at right now?
It is, and I'll tell you why. Because even though prices have been escalating, and we're still going to see that, they're escalating because of the issue of low inventory and more demand for our particular market. I like to look at, once you get past the Sarasota area and you're coming down, you're getting to the tropic zone. We don't experience, okay? If I ever saw snow here, I'd probably move, but I don't think that's ever going to happen because we're in the tropic zone here. So people feel safe when they get down here that the weather's going to be the weather. The downside is, we're at the tail end of Southwest Florida. Maybe we get hurricanes a little bit sooner than other places, but that's the price you pay anywhere you go. There's a paradise, but there's always a weak side of that paradise at times. But I'm from New Jersey. I have a real estate company in New Jersey. My sons are in real estate in New Jersey. Their plight is referring people here to find a house. They have somebody to buy their house because the people up there are moving from, say, New York to Jersey, but they don't have the opportunity to buy here. So we're going to be exacerbated for a while and interest rates are moving up, but not at a great deal. And I just see the stock market this morning had a rebound because they just had information that inflation is not taking hold, which also means across the board with houses, yes, we're going to have price increase because of supply and demand. But this is not a market like back in the recession where there were flippers, where people bought a house, never moved into it, put it back on the market and flipped that's not what's happening here. This is people wanting to live here. So I couldn't see myself being anyplace else. If we're in a pandemic, this is where I want to be, Southwest Florida.
So what advice do you have right now for buyers? Just be patient?
What I said to a buyer is, and I just talked to several of my agents before I came on with you, now is not the time to pause in your decision to either sell or buy. If you have the unit that you think is for you, buy it because it's not going to be there the next day. If you pull into a driveway and you say, I want to go home and I want to think about it, it's not going to be there tomorrow. You're not going to have anything to think about. And a seller, if you're really intent on selling and you have the other place for you to go, I suggest that you do that and don't wait. The other thing is you can, as a seller, you can draw a contract any way you want. You could say, I have a buyer. This contract is subject to me finding another home in 30 days. So what that does is it puts a contract in your possession, but it's contingent upon you finding another house. Now, you should be looking where you want to go, not that day when you get a contract. So the time you can follow, you see how fast some go and whatever the case is. So there's a different juxtaposition in this market versus the last previous market that we had, where we had substantial demise. I remember I was here, I just started in real estate here when I moved here, and there were like 12,000 listings of properties in the Collier County neighbor market. Unbelievable, unbelievable. And they weren't selling and the prices were dropping every day. So can you imagine how stressful that was for a buyer? You mean if I sign a contract today, it could be even less tomorrow? That's not what we have. This is a matter of people that want to be here owning what they really want to own. And sometimes you got to settle. My recommendation is it may not be the absolute that you wanted, but buy it, because if inflation continues or prices go up, at least you're on the escalator of appreciation, which you then later on, you want to buy something different, at least you would have had the gain of that appreciation for that particular unit.
Great.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thanks so much for being with us, Jerry. I know you're busy, so I'm sure you're going to be running out the door the moment that this ends. But if you'd like to meet Jerry, get more information, you want to work with a great agent like him or become an agent yourself, check out their website today at Downing-Frye.com. Have a great day.
You too, Vikki. Thanks.